Hello, I'd like to talk to you about some reflections I have been having on beauty, truth, ethics, and economy. It's in three sections. First of all, an introduction to the model, then how I would map it to other models of my own thinking, and a few final reflections which will blur in. I always like to start with attributions. I like to attribute a lot of my thinking, as I've done it over the last part of my life, to Umberto Maturana. His way of thinking as a biologist and a philosopher has influenced a lot of how I think. But it's also been over 25 years of conversations with a lot of you at the American Society for Cybernetics, because that's where I met Umberto and I met most of the rest of you at the same time, and I so appreciate those conversations. I've also had 45 or more years of conversations with David Tate over dinner tables and whatnot. And all in all, I must say that my experience that we humans enjoy conversation where there are genuine conversations and not demands or expectations or that sort of thing. Most recently, I've been having conversations with Mark Pearson, and especially when he made this comment that he'd come across Russell Hackoff's statement that beauty, good, truth, and economy are both necessary and sufficient for any social system. We've been having lots of conversations over that theme over the last several weeks. So the model that's presented is that these are four ideas that have to have an interaction, and there's differences depending on how you look at them and what you mean by them. For example, you could think of it as aesthetics, ethics, and science instead of beauty, truth, and good. And most recently, we pulled together this panel of several people and I've been having wonderful conversations with them in preparing for this formal panel, and I think we'll probably continue afterwards too. But I'll start with some observations of my own. And actually, this comes also from Maturana. We make distinctions based on the regularities in our experience. And whenever we make a distinction, the domain in which that distinction is valid co-arises with the distinction. So it has to do with domains of thought, what makes sense where. The domain matters. And I've noticed too that once you set up this domain, establish one, further distinctions are readily congruent with that domain. So back to this model: beauty, good, truth, and economy. Mark Recker thought that what we could do is think about where we would stand ourselves, which one we would stand on, and how would the others appear. So I kind of went through that exercise for myself. What if I stood on economy? How would those others appear for me? Well, on economy, if I think of it as kind of money, the background happens to be kind of a modern world, and the beauty is that which gets advertised. Good comes down to something like justice, and truth has to do with something like science and experiments and technology somehow. If I switch to standing on science, which in a way is my background, biological science, then you see the background comes to do here, as in this picture, with living things. An economy is a measurement thing. Beauty, however, has to do with something more stellar, or perhaps more in the minute. It's in the beauty of nature, whatever scale. And good has to do with what does science bring for the help of doing things for others. If I stand on beauty, economy becomes nothing more than organizing the household, and good has to do with the love and care of human relations. And truth is something of a beauty itself. It is a sense of beauty. So it does make a difference where we stand. And what I need to know when I'm thinking about what is somebody meaning something, I need to listen for the domain in which what the other says is valid. But that's not so simple, because in our conversations we really have a coordination of flow in the coordinations of many actions and ideas, and we generally don't stick to one domain. So what does that have to do with that model? I think one thing I can say from the start is that I want to avoid reifications of the distinctions and the domains in which we are living. So this has been the introduction of the model, and I'm going to pause this recording and start another recording for talking about mapping to the other models I may know, and then go to some final reflections.